Hello and welcome. This is going to be, it's going to be a part of the manifestation series, but I think as always, it's always kind of part of the Divine Partnership Coaching video. And I've been thinking about what I've been learning about manifestation and like overall, but also especially over the past 11 months. And being that 11 is a number of manifestation, it feels fitting. And also, I just learned this was very interesting. So we've had this astrological alignment that I've kind of called Clash of the Titans, and most of our biggest and most influential planets have been in the sign of Capricorn all year going. And it's funny, whereas like normally we transition between different signs, we've had retrograde into direct, and it's kept them in Capricorn longer than normal. And they do retrograde regularly, but being in that sign for so long has been longer than normal. It's abnormal. It's absurdly abnormal. And the fun thing is, what I learned is that Capricorn is the sign of manifestation. Go figure. I knew it was the social architect. I knew it was the sign of evolution. Like it's not just a sea goat. It's a fish turning into a goat, like evolving from the sea to a land animal to climbing the mountain, right? But if you think about that, that is manifestation, right? I think that's pretty cool. And being a Capricorn sun and Venus myself, I thought, you know what? Why not? This is something that I've been called to talk about for a fair amount, and I try to allow it to come when it is divinely inspired, which is something that Abraham Hicks definitely suggests doing. Now, what I thought that I would talk about is just a brief, 3 reasons that most people have trouble manifesting. I might say that they can't, or that they just have just bad luck, or things like that, or they try and it doesn't work. First of all, the story you tell yourself is usually the biggest problem. If you tell yourself that you are an unlucky person, or somebody who is a good person that just gets shit luck, or that you could do it except for you have A, B, C, X, Y, Z reasons that you can't. You have a bad relationship, a bad job, a chronic pain, neurodivergence, something like that. If you tell yourself a story that creates a limitation, you create a limitation. You create resistance. You create a block. And that is like the number one. It's funny, I just saw a truck drive by with the word rigid on it, right? Yeah, it makes your manifestations rigid. And even if, like, you say, okay, I only have one leg and one hand, so I'm limited in the kind of work I could do. That doesn't mean you can't use your mouth. It doesn't mean you can't use your brain. If you don't have, and I've been through this, you don't have a driver's license, okay? So you can't do DoorDash and Uber jobs and things like that. Sure, you can't do driving jobs, but that doesn't mean that you can't do other jobs. And that doesn't mean you have to do jobs that you don't like. You can create a job. And yes, there are difficulties along that, but that's another thing I think that people misunderstand about manifestation. It's not like you just get it and then there you go, you're manifesting. No, it's about the journey, like anything else. It's about learning to do it. I think that's a major misconception, is that oftentimes it's those that have already been through their journey a long way who are able to manifest things, or have already manifested a lot of things, and we look at them like Tony Robbins or Abraham Hicks or Eckhart Tolle, or there's a whole number of people out there who talk about manifestation, and I hear a lot of people that look at them and they're like, well, you're already rich, or you already had this, or you started out this way, or you did that, and we kind of just go, you just had it easier. That's not true. And in most cases, most of them didn't have a good. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite examples because, one, he started out as a smoker and quit. But he actually started out, he did not have a nice upbringing. It wasn't horrible, but it was, his family was very poor, and everybody told him that he wasn't, like, he was too tall and his voice was too weird and he had too much energy and too much stuff going on. Now look at him. He's like literally one of the richest men in the world, and he literally just tells people what he thinks. People come to him just for his advice, and he even will openly tell you, I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert, I'm a why guy. I'll ask you a lot of questions, you know? And that's one of the things that I've always liked, because you can ask my parents ever since I was little, and go do this. Why? And then they give me an answer. I go, okay, but why? You know, and so that resonated with me. But, you know, look into the stories of the people that you think just had it so easy. Most of the time, there is something incredibly profound about their story. And usually it was when they decided that they wanted to manifest a better life for themselves. And most of them didn't have somebody to guide them. They didn't have somebody who wrote the book before them. There may have been a few people here and there that, you know, who is the thing, like Dale Carnegie, or it's like Max, is it Cromwell? I cannot remember his specific name. There are people, Napoleon Hill, you know, a lot of these people have written about, and Wayne Dyer, like there's a lot of people that have written about manifestation, but first and foremost, it's typically started from a spiritual place, because that's, you know, that magic, manifestation, things like that, they do come from at least an energetic place. It doesn't have to be religious, but spiritual, as in the energy that we exist in, that science is even proving exists all around us in electromagnetic fields, and with the, is it the Bose-Higgs particle, the God particle, things like that. Like, we are proving what people knew before they had evidence of it. Like, I wanted to say millions of years ago, but I think that's inaccurate. But that was at least hundreds of thousands of years ago, like ancient Egypt kind of times ago. And the irony of that, I was going to say irony. I almost want to say that on purpose. The irony of that is they didn't need the proof that a lot of us need now. And we give ourselves that first story of, oh, well, I'm limited, I'm poor, I can't start out that way, I can't buy the books, I can't just sit on my butt and meditate all day, I have kids, I have work, I have pain, I have trauma, I have this and that. And we limit ourselves. And then next, we look at the people who are doing it, and we're like, well, they're different than me. They're lucky or special, or they started out better than I did, or they don't have an understanding of how hard it is for me. Third, at least for today, I'm going to go on and make more of these videos, but third, for now, is that part of the journey is unraveling your resistances. And those first two are good examples. What stories are you telling yourself about yourself? Can you get up in the morning and say, I love you to yourself and mean it? Yeah, you can laugh about it, but can you say it comfortably and mean it? Do you feel like when you're being a good person, if somebody says that you're being a bad guy when you're actually being a very good person, do you believe them or do you believe you? You know? And when you have a belief in something, are you able to hold that belief regardless of what the 3D world around you looks like, and regardless of what anybody tells you that it is or should be or isn't? You know? Because usually what happens is we tell ourselves those stories, and then we don't stop and think, how did I get to being this kind of person? Like, what was it about how I grew up, and how my relationships have been so far, and how my education was, and, where is it along my story that I became such a critical and pessimistic person about my own